Now let's look at another loop called the while loop. The while loop executes our code a number of times as long as a given condition is set to true. So in this case, we have a Boolean condition that we set to true. Then we keep on running our code for any number of times as long as that statement is true. When that statement is false, the code has to stop executing. So let's see how this works. So let me create a count. So I'm going to create a count and then call it 0. Then we're going to say, well, that count is, let's say, less than 7. What we're going to do is to print, we're going to print that count and then we increment it. So we're going to add count. So we can say count is equal to count plus 1. And then we can also say count is equal to count plus equal to 1, which means count is equal to count plus 1. So what we're going to do in this case is to say that when you print the count, you want to increment it. So this code will execute as long as count is less than 6. So what it will do is to print count for the first time and then add 1 to the count and do that for the rest of the values until count is equal to 6. So let's see how this will execute. So I'm going to save this and I'm going to run again. So I'm going to run Python while loop.py and it's going to print the values. Let's look at another example of where we can use a while loop. Let's build a guessing game. So I can say that this is going to be our guessing game. So I'm going to create a range. So I'm going to say, actually, let me just create a given number. So I'm going to say a correct number is going to be equal to 112. And while that, so we're going to create a variable called the name. So we're going to create a guess. So our guess, let our guess be equal to 0 at first. Now we are going to run a while loop for every time we're going to collect a guess from the user. So we're going to say while the guess is not equal to the correct number, we are going to prompt a user for the guess. So we're going to say guess is going to be equal to int input. Then we're going to get their guess. So we're going to say tell the user to enter their guess. And then what we're going to say that if the guess is equal to the correct number, what we're going to do is to tell the user that they have won. So we're going to print you win. The next thing is once that statement fails, we are going to just run print continue. So let's save this and try to run our file. So I'm going to run our file saying Python while loop.py. This is going to tell us to enter our guess. So let's enter 1 and it's going to tell us to continue. So when we enter 12, it's going to tell us to continue. When you enter 112, which is our correct number in this case, it's going to tell us that we won. So this shows you that this while loop will execute a number of times as long as our condition is false. And when that condition is met, as long as this condition is met, as long as our guess is not equal to the correct number, our while loop will execute until we have where the condition will be true. So let me introduce another statement called a break statement. The break statement is used to break a while loop and in case we want to break it. For example, in this case, we want to break our loop only and only if we have won. So let me introduce that. So when we run when you put break here and you try to run our while loop, so when I say while loop dot py, and I enter my guess, let's say 23, I enter another guess, let's say 12, I enter another guess, let's say 25. Let me say when I enter the correct, we see that our loop will break, which was not for the first case, because for the first case, it the loop stopped running, but then it executed continue. But in this case, we needed to break our statement and we do not do anything else.